Spider-Man once stopped the evil schemes of a villain named Benjamin Raven. He wanted to fuse himself with the powerful Mayan god Web. Since then, Robin has been plotting and scheming, waiting for the perfect opportunity to take revenge on Spider-Man. The scheme he devises takes him to Peter and his girlfriend Mary Jane. He then sends them to an alternate dimension where they're destined to be offered as sacrifices to the main god. As they struggle to survive in a deserted New York City, they meet a man named Paul, who used to study under Robin. With his help, they craft a gadget that can send one person back to their world to get help. Unfortunately, before they can use it on Mary Jane, they are ambushed by Webb. In a selfless act, Mary Jane uses the device to transport Peter to safety. But in doing so, she becomes trapped in that other dimension with Paul, who later goes on to become her new romantic partner. Mary Jane succeeded in sending Peter back home, but unfortunately, he crashed somewhere in Pennsylvania, which caused a lot of destruction. Now, Mary Jane needs to be rescued. Instead of waiting for the cops to arrive, he quickly buries his superhero costume and rushes towards his hometown. Peter is on the run from the police, and he needs to stay hidden. He decides to steal some clothes and tries to blend in with the crowd. Although he feels guilty about what he's done, he can't afford to dwell on it right now. As he's making his way through the people, he starts to notice that something seems off. He checks the newspaper to confirm the date and then heads to May's place to clear his head. He realizes that he came back at the same time when he fought Robin, but he has spent more than a week in that alternate dimension. This meant that time moves much faster in that world. Suddenly, a voice startles him from behind, and he turns to find none other than Norman Osborn. Peter's anger boils over at the sight of him, and he wants him to leave May's apartment. But Norman insists on staying to make sure everything is okay. Norman tries to touch Peter, to comfort him. Peter slams Norman into the wall and threatens him to stay away from him and his Aunt May. Peter's behavior scares May. Peter realizes he don't have time for this and rushes to save Mary Jane. But Peter can't shake the worry that she could be in danger given the time differences in this dimension. He dashes into his apartment and snatches his backpack and suit, and he makes his way to the Baxter building. He hopes to get the help of the Fantastic Four, particularly their leader Reed Richards. But before he can even knock on the door, he's apprehended by the Human Torch and the Thing. Peter explains his whole situation and that he wants their help to save World and Mary Jane, who's trapped in another dimension. Peter finds out that Reed and Susan have left the planet. He then heads to their lab to work on his plan. But they stopped him and told him he can't use the lab until Captain America arrives and that the FBI has found Spider-Man's costume at the explosion site in Pennsylvania. So Captain America is on his way to run some tests on Peter to see if he's the real Peter or not. However, Peter can't wait around and he quickly flees to the Sanctum Sanctorum to seek help from Dr. Strange. The FBI is after Spider-Man, and Peter knows it's a big problem. He decides to ditch his costume and heads into an alleyway. But then, out of nowhere, Captain America shows up. The FBI has labeled Spider-Man as an enemy of the state, making him the most wanted criminal in the entire United States. Captain America believes Peter is innocent and wants to help clear his name. He wants Peter to come with him. However, time is running out for Peter, and he needs to act fast to save Mary Jane. In a desperate move, Peter smashes Cap in the face. Despite Cap's efforts to convince Peter to surrender, Peter is only focused on saving Mary Jane. He snatches Cap's shield and uses it to knock him into a wall, and he disappears. Peter tries to hide in the crowd, feeling anxious that Captain America knows that he is Peter Parker and he will eventually find him. But he suddenly remembers one place where he can hide, and he breaks into a building to meet a man who can help him, who is none other than Norman Osborn. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel.